So what would you do if you could have £1 million? What would you do if you could have £1 million a year? Would you get a big car? Would you get a big house? Would you go on lots of holidays? Who would you spend it on? What would you do? It's easy to dream big, think big, and get really excited for that sort of. What if I told you could do all that in a weekend? Sounds too good to be true? Well, The $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan, a 7-figure business in less than 48 hours. Not less, in 48 hours. I'm reading this book, giving it a good crack, trying to see what's going on with it, trying to follow it as purely as I can to see if the claims in it work, and if they do work, can just buying this book get you there? Or do you need things on top of it? Do you need things before it? And in what position does this book put you when you read it? So I'm going to be doing a series on this, I'm going to be breaking it down, and I'm going to let you know how I get on. Now, why did I start to do this book? Now, I watched a video by Ali Abdaal, which was something about getting financial freedom. I don't remember the exact title now. I'll put a link with it down below in the description. I might snap a bit, put it here, if I can figure that out. And we'll see how that goes. Now, I read this in the coffee shop with my daughter. My daughter's 14 months, so she didn't really read it. But I read it with her while I was in there. It probably took me about 30 minutes of slow-paced reading. But I did want to make sure that I was taking notes as I did it and making sure I was actioning the steps when I come across it. So I've done the first 2 chapters, and I'm now on to chapter 3, finding your $1 million ideas. So I'm just going to review everything that came before and what I did and my results so far. My initial instincts of the book so far are it's not very detailed in teaching you how to do things. It doesn't go into a lot of detail on the skills that you need to do. But what it is very good at, and the reason why I did want it, is because it tells you exactly what to do, gives you a script and says, off you go, figure it out. This is what I want you to do, copy this script, boom, job to get in. So you could pick this up, follow it through, and you could get the same results that I'd get. Or if somebody else picked it up with years of experience, they'd pick it up, could follow the script, and in theory get the same results that I've gotten, and they wouldn't be any better off, they wouldn't be any worse. That's where I think the value of this book seems to be coming from, is the fact that it gives you very actionable steps, very bite-sized steps, and explains it in a very small amount of detail. But because I am going through it with quite an analytical approach, making sure that I break it down and really think about what's happening from my point of view, and also from the people that I interact with whilst following through with this challenge, it's given me some really interesting points of view and some real good food for thought, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, to be honest. It might seem simple to some people, and it might common sense that other people's opinions are different and all that good stuff, but I'm really enjoying seeing other people's reactions to what I've done so far. The 2 main points so far it teaches you the power of just asking, and the unlimited power of asking, and how that unlocks an unlimited amount of potential for you with just by asking the question. You know, as they say for Dr. Pepper, what's the worst that could happen? You know, it starts to touch on the mindset of people who ask, people who want things. And I'm actually starting to take that little bit that it hints on, it doesn't go into a lot of detail, but it does hint at, you know, the power of unlimited asking and just asking the question, and what's the harm. So that's the main point so far for number 1. The other main point is also embracing rejection. So it goes hand in hand with the question of unlimited asking and then embracing rejection. Because really, I suppose that's the worst thing you could do. You could ask someone and get rejected. That's the basics, you know. You ask the question, you get rejected. Anything that deviates from that is just a win-win, surely. It works in your favour, and, you know, the returns are exponential. They're unlimited. They could be anything. You know, a ridiculous example could be you go around saying to whoever, will you give me £1 million once a year for the rest of my life? I mean, your chances are slim, sure, but You ask everybody you know and everybody you ever meet, you're not going to be any worse off, but there's always that small percentage. Someone might say yes. It's a bit like a lottery, really, in that sense. You know, the potential reward for just asking and not being worried about rejection is huge. So the first task when it comes to the power of asking, what the book wants you to do is to ask people to support you and give you $1. Obviously, I'm from the UK, England, so me going around asking people for $1 is ridiculous in itself, and it's not going to get me very far. So I've tweaked it a little bit, and I've asked for £1. Now the book gives you a template of what it wants you to, so that you don't get caught up in the asking, so you don't fluff it up. So you literally just focus on the question itself. Will you give me £1? Now I did overthink this for a little bit. I probably spent about a grand total of 5 minutes just thinking, what can I do? The 3 tactics I come up with was 1, I'm just going to go onto Facebook Messenger, talk to the first 5 people that are showing us online and ask them the question outright. Doesn't matter who they are, I'm just going to ask them. My next one that I was going to do was, I actually have a WhatsApp broadcast group, and in this group it will shoot out a message to close friends, family members, and these are people that I keep up to date with my daughter and her hospital appointments and all that. So these are all people that are very close to me, and we all know each other very well, and they're already emotionally invested in me and my family, and you know, we all love each other, love it, you know, to be to put it blunt, we're, you know, they're my close people, they're close people. And then my third point was, I'm going to put up a post on Facebook, a picture, and the picture was me and my daughter sat in the cafe like this. I had the book, she was here looking at it. I might put a picture here if I can. And I said, can you guess what book we're reading? I couldn't really make out the title. And then everybody who interacted with that post, you know, I was then going to come back to them a little bit later and ask the question to them. They were the 3 tactics that I went for. So how did I get on? I literally went onto Messenger, like I said, and I asked the first 5 people that came up. And the book does give you a script to follow. It says, you know, follow this, just so you don't have to think about it. Now I did tweak it a little bit. So what I actually sent out was, hey such and such, I'm reading this book, The $1 Million Weekend. I know it's American. And they told me I need to get £1 from somebody. Well, $1. But what's the point in that? Haha. I thought of you, and it would mean a lot to have your support. Would you send me £1 right now? This is the template the book tells me to use, and I'm going to use the book as a springboard for taking action towards the goals I want. James. That's what I sent to five people that were active and online. None of them I'd spoken to in person or online really for any less than 6 months. Took me 2 minutes, literally copied and pasted, changed the name at the front, boom, send it off, jobs are good. Within 2-3 minutes of them all being sent, I'd had a reply from one of them, and he said his exact words, because I think it's interesting. Well, sure thing dude, I can send you £1, no worries. Do you want me to PayPal it across? So not only was this person willing to support me, they also gave me an option to send it to them. And I hadn't even thought about that, to be fair, about how I was actually going to get the money off them, because for me, the point of this part in the book is just the asking the question. The receiving £1 isn't important, that's neither here nor there, but it's getting over the fear of asking. Now, I'm quite confident, so it wasn't really a bother for me, but because I am following the book as it says, you know, I played ball and did it. And within 3 minutes of that, I literally screenshotted my PayPal QR code, sent it to him, and he sent me £1, just like that. I didn't explain anything why, you know, it just happened. It was, you know, that left me thinking, I've not offered anything in exchange for this. This person has just, I've offered them, said, can you give me £1? They've just said yes. You know, I've not given them any value up front. I've not done anything. And, you know, that really got me thinking, to be honest. Like, there really is no harm in asking. it was quite profound, to be fair. It took me a minute. I was quite moved. I was quite shocked. I was expecting people to just think, oh, he's been scammed, whatever, swipe away sort of thing. So there we go. So I ended up with £1. The person who did it, he is a budding artist and a musician, and I'll put a link to his Instagram page down below. Do give him a bit of love if you don't mind. He didn't give me £1 for me to say that, but I just feel like I should send some good juju his way, and that's what I'm going to do. So 5-10 minutes in, I've asked 5 people, I've got £1, 20% of my target, success rate, 20% success rate. Nothing to sniff at that, I'm happy. So tactic number 2, the broadcast. Now, I did actually change my mind on doing this, because all of the people that are in my broadcast group, I know that I could ask them any amount of money and they'd give it me if they can, without question. They're already very, we're all very close emotionally, and I thought, because of the point of the book at this point wasn't about getting the actual money, it was more about the asking, and these are people that I am comfortable with to ask the question if need be, and I didn't think there would be any value or any growth from my point of view in asking this question, so I actually left them. I didn't ask them. So that brings me to my third strategy, which was to put the Facebook post. Now on there, we got a good bit of interaction, a couple of comments here and there, and what happened later on in the day, I tweaked the message that I sent out, and I sent it to them. But what I didn't do was the people that would have been in my broadcast, I also ignored them at this point as well, for the same reason, just because I felt like it was low-hanging fruit and there wasn't really much for me to learn at this point. So the message, I tweaked it a little and I said this: "Hey such and such, thanks for liking my post. You might have saw, but I was reading the book $1 Million Weekend. I know it's American and they told me I need to get £1 from somebody. Well, $1, but what's the point in that? It would mean a lot to have your support. Would you send me £1 right now?" I tweaked it and put on PayPal. This is the template the book tells me to use, and I'm going to use it as a springboard for taking action towards the goals I want. James. So I tweaked it ever so slightly, just because it was reactive, and I just wanted to try and keep a little bit of personalness going on there. So I asked another 5 people from that post. Again, immediately I had one person come back to me. Now this person I haven't actually spoken to since school properly, and he said his exact words again. Just in the interest of transparency, but alright mate, I respect the hustle, but I only deal in cash. He's a tattoo artist, so that makes sense. If I see you about, I'll chuck you £1. And this is how little we don't talk. I actually live several hundred miles away from him now, and he doesn't realise, which is quite funny. I said, that's a fair point, don't worry about it mate, it's fine. The question was asked, and that's the key thing, and I went on to explain, similar to what I'm explaining now. I'll probably send in this video, and it'll be in it, and I'll ask him if he wanted me to put a link to his Instagram as well. He might not, who knows, I don't know. So there we go. I've asked 10 people, and I've had 2 people say yes. One person has actually coughed up, and one person has said they would, and I believe them. I do. And I suppose that's the premise. The power of just asking is that I've asked 10 people to give me £1 for absolutely nothing, and I've got a potential two people coming back to me to give me £1 for nothing, which is mind blowing. So the next thing it asked you to do was it asked you to ask people that you respect for some feedback on you starting a business. I got some very mixed responses to this one. I had some actual genuine business ideas, all the way down to more career advice like a job, down to just joke answers, carrying on down to somebody saying, actually, this is a ridiculous question. If you want to start a business, you shouldn't be asking me what you should be doing. You should be figuring out what you want to do and cracking on through. And it sparked up some really some really profound conversations, and I could really see the psychology of people working, and it was really interesting from my point of view. Obviously, I know I'm doing this as a sort of experiment, whereas these people that I was asking, at the time, were unaware until I, told them, look, I was just copying a template. Thanks for your answer. What do you think of this? So one of the, I got some job advice here. I got some business ideas. I also, which interested me as well, was one of the people I asked, he took his life, saw his problems, so the musician, the artist, and he applied my skill set to what he thinks would be good to help him out in his life. For example, so becoming like a music manager, that sort of thing, or like a curator, or that. It was really interesting for me to see how his mind was working, in the sense that he was looking at his life, knowingly or not, and thinking, where would my skill set be best suited within his life? And that I think it took me a little bit. I was thinking, this is real profound, and it was really interesting to see somebody thinking about my career in that way, and seeing that the skill sets that I have and how it could apply to their life. And that was quite interesting. And then on the other side of the scale, there was people going, no, you shouldn't be asking me, you should be finding something that you're willing to put in the hard work for. I could tell you some options, but if you don't have a passion for it, what's the point in wasting your time? And it's all very valid points. Now I was a bit more selective with the people I asked for this question, because it does say pick people that you respect, and it gives you a template again, which I don't think I tweaked. But the question I asked was this: hey, such and such, I'm trying to come up with some business ideas right now. You know me well, so I was wondering, what kind of business do you think I'd be good at? James. And it was really interesting. It really was. I think it's well worth it. Another valuable point I think that comes from it is that you're putting it out there, that you're thinking of businesses, you're thinking of projects, and you never know, the person that you ask might be thinking it too, but they might be too shy, too embarrassed, or they might be later on in the game than you are. So I consider myself like level 0 when it comes to this sort of thing, and I want to build myself up to the next levels, but some of the people that I spoke to are a few more levels up than I am, and it puts my intentions out there and makes them known. And that's quite liberating from my point of view, but then it also opens me up to their exposure and their experience, because they then know that that's something I'm interested in. So the third little task it told me to do, which I think I did a bit wrong. Obviously I started off in a coffee shop, and it is to order a coffee and then ask for a discount. Completely plain-faced, no worries about it, just ask for a discount, get rejected. I think that's the goal. Now, I was already in a coffee shop at this point, and I wasn't going to get another coffee, so I left. I went to a corner shop and got a drink. I asked for a discount, just happily, no context, no nothing. And this is where I think I went a bit wrong, because the chap actually gave me a discount, which is obviously welcome. It was really nice. I was up for that. But that obviously doesn't teach me anything about rejection, because I got the discount, which is really funny, I think, which was quite interesting. I obviously went on and asked the other person for discount, knowing for like a supermarket, knowing I wouldn't get it, just to put myself out there. But again, like I said, I am pretty confident, so I wasn't too worried about asking the question. I'm not worried about making myself look like a bit of a prat. I'm okay with it, and it worked out quite well, I think. I got a discount, didn't get a discount, and I totally understand the point that it's trying to make of, you shouldn't be, so as a person, you shouldn't be chasing your yeses. You need to try and get your no's, because you can control them. So you can control the amount of people you ask. So if you think, so don't think, I'm going to ask 5 people, think, I'm going to get 5 no's, because then you're asking so many people. If everybody says yes, that's great, but then what's stopping you from asking another 5? It just keeps you motivated, keeps you going. I don't know if you can see, but I've got a book here called the I Dare You book. It's a bit more like network marketing. It's very similar stuff to this, just not as well marketed, which is hilarious. And that's my takeaway really from the first 2 chapters of the $1 Million Weekend. I'm hoping that it does go into a bit more detail about things, and it does give you a bit more of a skill learning approach, because at the minute it does seem a little bit basic. Like I said, I've got a book there, and it's just a very basic network marketing book. It's good, and it's not really teaching me anything different from that. So I do think there is a little bit of room for the book to start to teach me more, but maybe that will come later on. It's just establishing the basics. You know, I don't want to be too overcritical because I am only 2 chapters in. If you've got any questions or how I'm feeling, or if you're looking to do it and you need a little bit more extra help, do comment below. I know it's been a while since I posted a video. Thank you for coming back. All the best.